Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is Jade, and this is How to App on iOS. Boom. And welcome to the Rant, the Dark Passenger. Hi, I'm Dexter Morgan. I just know there's something dark in me, and I hide it. I certainly don't talk about it, but it's there, always. The dark passenger. And when he's driving, I feel alive. Half sick with the thrill of complete wrongness. I don't fight him. I don't want to. He's all I've got. Nothing else could ever love me. Not even. Especially not me. Or is that just a lie the dark passenger tells me? Because lately, there are these moments where I feel connected to something else, someone. It's like the mask is slipping and things, people who never mattered before are suddenly starting to matter. And it scares the hell out of me. Good morning. Welcome to the show. My name is Jade, and this is The Rant. You all doing well? I'll bet you blew a kiss to Dexter right there. Oh, you seem like the type, Ellie. I'll bet Ellie was the type who wrote letters to serial killers in jail. Why did I do a drum beat there? That probably... Was that a joke? I don't know. What's a joke anymore? What's an acceptable joke? You all doing good? You all well? Let's run through the list of folks here. It's Monday morning here in Australia, and do I look tired? I feel tired, but you know the show goes on. So yes, today is episode 58. We're talking about the Dark Passenger, and that was an excerpt from the Dexter Morgan book, The Dark Passenger. Hello, Chris Lane Sr. He's here. He's got Hey-O on his mind. Hey-O. He's singing some Chili Peppers. And Thomas Christ is in the house. Ed B. Metal. Matus is here also. Ali, the aforementioned. Ed B. Metal. I'm doing a hippie and repeating names. Hey, boom, Ed B. Metal. We got Ed B. Metal here. Boom, right on. Ed B. Metal. Boom, right on. Thanks, Thomas, for slinging the links, as always. Thanks for doing that. You rock. Barry Glenn, hello to you. And Hugh Caldwell, what's going on? Woo, let's go keep down. Joe Glenn, hello. Welcome. Well, Paul O'Farrell, Wobbly Ashtray Records. Good to see you, my friend. And... I think I've got Pookie. Hello, Pookie. How are you? Hope you doing well. Joking is no longer allowed in 2024. Ain't that the truth, man? No joking allowed. Huh. I give up. Oh, internet issues for Paul? No. We listen to what you say, yo, Chris. No joking. Balls. Dude, your jokes suck. Dude, if you were a stand-up comedian mixed club and all you did was come on stage and go, balls, it would probably work the first time. Doo-doo. I mean, but after probably the second show, people would get a bit tired of it. So there's that. You would rock the house. I tell you what, I reckon this would be Rhett. He'd be like, all his jokes, and then he'd go, wow, this ain't going so well. Where's the cat? I've got a cat, everybody. And then the crowd would go, hey, woo! He's got a cat. There you go. He's got a cat. The world's problems are solved. Don't you wish, folks, life was like that, real life, yeah? That everything could just be solved by picking up a cat and putting it on and going, look, I've got a cat, and everything would be fixed. Man, it'd be so much easier. I mean, that's the way the internet works. Why can't it work in real life? So, yes, today we're talking about the Dark Passenger. Now, I don't want this to be a negative thing because the Dark Passenger, we started off by talking about Dexter Morgan from the Dexter television show, and of course, that's a pretty negative thing. The guy was a serial killer. Let's not forget that. It's an interesting subject, that television show, because, well, he's the hero of the show and he's a murderer. And I don't know if anybody else was a fan of that show, like I was, a big fan of that show. Did you question yourself watching that show, that I'm rooting for the guy who's murdering everybody? It's a very challenging kind of show because, you know, you tuned in each week to, and there he was, the good guy cop who was good at his job, and then by the end of the show, he had somebody on a table with plastic on the walls about to put a knife in them, and you're just sitting there going, yeah, go. Whoa, what is happening to me? Very, very confusing times with such a television show. Well, that's what we say. See, Joe says this too, and I'm sure we all did it. Look, but only the bad guys. Oh, and his victims all had it coming. Did they? Is that the way it works? Is that the way it really works? Look, and yeah, we're not going to try and break down that television series today and discuss how it went down the tubes, because it did. It you know, unfortunately, where can you go with a television show like that? The guy's a serial killer. He's got to get caught at some stage. Like, how many years can it go on? So it was never. I guess that's the thing with people who write really good scripts and really good ideas. The idea is so good that nobody ever really has a conclusion to the idea, how to wrap it all up and make it work. So it normally fizzes out the wrong way. And here's the equivalent of our own serial killer. It's Pete Johns. And trust me, when you meet him in real life, you start to question. I jest, of course. Pete Johns, hello, Pete. Welcome aboard. No, folks, Pete Johns is not a serial killer. I just need to put that out into the algorithm. He just likes cereal, okay? He smashes it down each morning, which I should do as well, but here we are. No, but so what we're going to talk about today with the Dark Passenger is when I first came across this term, the Dark Passenger, it kind of overwrote the television show for me, and it stuck with me, this thing, and I've used it so often and I've heard other people in social services and stuff use this Dark Passenger in relation to people with alcoholism, drug addiction, a whole lot of things, right? It became this like really nice way to introduce an understanding of a problem for people through media. And that happens a lot too, yeah? The stuff we consume becomes so ingrained in our vernacular each day, our speak, what we talk about, that sometimes it's easier to put this television, movie speak into action to actually help people get over things that are holding them back from being greater than what they could be. Believe it or not. So a thing like the Dark Passenger really resonated with me when I first watched Dexter. I remember because it's in the first episode. I think the episode's called An Inconvenient Lie is the first episode, where his voice kicks in for the first time and he starts talking about this Dark Passenger. Very quickly you realize his Dark Passenger is a serial killer. Now, look, this show is never about medical advice or anything like that. So if you're a serial killer out there right now, thank you for subscribing, I think. maybe seek help somewhere else. Maybe you should stop doing that too. But no, it's not a good thing what you're doing, because I'm sure not a lot of people have the skill set of what a Dexter Morgan had. Remember? So let's dissect Dexter Morgan quickly and talk about his skill set, because through what happened to him as a child with, his murder, all this stuff that went down and all this blood everywhere, he became a blood spatter analyst. Yeah, so he ended up getting a job conveniently with the police force, and he was actually really good at working through blood and understanding blood, dissecting blood to find criminals, and he was really good at that job, and that's what he did, and he was able to track down all these people. The one little thing where it went wrong was that he kind of went outside the bounds of the police and then started stalking them, and then would inject things into their neck and kill them, and that's where it went off a little bit. So his dark passenger, right, this need to kill, actually was, if channeled in the right way, which it already kind of was already had already got him a pretty good job, with a lot of responsibility, and he was really good at his job, and he was solving crimes. Yeah? Please don't spoil it. We're about to air the first season in Poland. Oh, that's funny. Oh, Matthias, you make me laugh. Hello, Loki. Did somebody call a serial killer? If that's what you want to be known as. Feisty Feather, hello to you. If there's anyone else I've missed, that's funny. Please don't. Hey. So Dexter Morgan's dark passenger was actually, part of it was pretty beneficial, because it got him to a position of power to be able to do the things that he wanted to do. Now, let's discuss if he was able to maybe seek help and maybe not, do, as much of the, stabby. Don't worry, YouTube, it's a plastic knife. It's not real. It's Halloween, folks. I've got heaps of plastic knives around for Halloween. It's not real. Maybe if he was able to focus that, the stabby stuff through help, he would have really got further up the chain with his, blood analysis. His dark passenger could have been used for actual good. And I know there's that weirdness of but he was doing things for good. He was killing people who were doing bad things. Morals, stuff, law, I don't know. We should let justice take its course and all that stuff. So, but I want to talk about, so when I first heard this term, the dark passenger, how it was going to, yes. You know what, Pete? These rants always, every week get flagged. So it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter, because I always look at these as they are a shit sandwich, these shows. They start off pretty dark, then there's something or other in the middle, and then it ends on a positive note, because regardless of what YouTube thinks of what I'm talking about here on this show, yes, there always is a thick layer of positivity, and we will get to it, I assure you. 15 minutes in, we always do, somehow, because I don't script any of this crap, and that's what it is. But no, when I first heard the term dark passenger, I immediately, because we do this as people that, we're a little bit self-centered as human beings, and we apply things to ourselves and go, I wonder how that works with me. What was my dark passenger? Did I have a dark passenger? And it got me thinking way back. So when the season first started of Dexter, was maybe many of us have a dark passenger. I know there's certainly a lot of people out there who are rage on the internet who definitely have dark passengers. Like the homophobes out there are like, I hate gay people so much. And it's like, wow, dude, we already know what your dark passenger is, and I'll bet it comes under your nickname on Grindr. So if you're watching out there, just come out. You're not fooling anybody with you like, I hate all the gay people. We all know that you're like, we all know. I know you think you're covering it up really well and your dark passenger is protected, but it's not, all right? It's not. So, isn't that true? You know, the whole the homophobia thing and that kind of stuff, that really ties into the dark passenger as well. Because here's the thing, a lot of people think that they are covering up this thing that they're protecting, and a lot of the time they're not. They're doing a terrible job of it, yeah? Because only really sociopaths and psychopaths are really good at lying, right? Most of the rest of people are terrible at lying. They don't have a poker face. They don't have a poker face at all. But, you know, sociopaths, psychopaths, they have to, because that's their whole thing. They don't want people to, you know, break the Dexter Morgan is the perfect example of that dark passenger who is so cold and calculating that he's able to get through that. But most people don't have that skill set. And thankfully, most people don't, because we'd be in a lot darker place than what we are. Hello, Keith and Rise of Dark Leela. Just joined us. Let me have some coffee. It is first thing in the morning. So I got to wondering what my dark passenger was. And yes, clearly my dark passenger was obvious. Talk about it being trans. That was it. And I'll tell you why it was my dark passenger, because for the longest time, I felt like I had to hide it and bury it and keep it over here. And do you know how much stress that caused? You think about it too, in the same way Dexter's like covering all of his tracks of like his next kill, and then he's got to make sure everything's completely covered up. Exactly the same thing, except without the murder stuff, without the trail of bodies leaving behind me. But at the same time, there was a trail of shit that I was leaving behind through all of this, hiding this stuff, because I've talked about this here on the channel before. Hello, Kim Harden Hudson, watching on the television with her partner and all that. To both of you. What comes with lying, because I've talked about the trans thing for me for the longest time as well, you know. I got into heavy metal, leather jackets, piercings, tats, all that kind of stuff to bury what the thing was. But in doing all that, you're actually creating lies. Just in yourself. So you are a walking lie. And what happens is you end up having to cover up and cover up and cover up and cover up. And before too long, you hit 25 years old and go, who the fuck am I? I've built up this complete story about who I am, because the real meat, the real core is getting buried further and further and further under more and more and more and more and more and more blankets, to the point that you can't see out from under all these blankets of bullshit. Dark passenger, right there, right? And it's until you're able to like rip all these things off and go, you know what? This thing isn't even a problem. It's created more problems than what it should, you know? Again, I talked about like, so I literally these days call the whole being trans and all that stuff and that all the time of having a dark passenger, of letting it control the wheel. Even though it's not on the outside, it's actually driving the whole program. It's what Dexter says in that opening passage I read today, right? That he says, and when he's driving, I feel alive. When he's driving, I feel alive. Think about that. So for my example of being trans, when I let that drive, I feel alive. Yes. Why am I letting that hide down there? Obviously, I need to keep reiterating this today. For psychopaths, no. Doesn't work for psychopaths and sociopaths and, you know, all those types. No. It's Zelinsky and Chris. What's going on? Good to see you both. I will keep repeating the psychopath thing is probably not a good idea. But here we are. So the dark passenger, And it was never going to go away for me. It really was never going to go away because it was driving. No matter what you try and do, it's going to rear its ugly head, and it is in control. It is leading, I felt for me, leading me always down the path of like, you have to make this decision and this decision to protect this thing here that no one can know about, because as soon as everybody finds out about it, you're going to have no friends. Which was complete bullshit. Now, being a psychopath and doing that, you're probably not going to have many friends because you've probably killed them all. So, yes. But where am I ultimately going with this? Now, I was lucky enough to expose my dark passenger and let it take the wheel, 100%. And once I did that, sure, friends disappeared and they went away very quickly. But guess what? Better ones came into my life. Better people came into my life. I made better decisions outside of just as a person. Here's the thing, right? Before Dark Passenger took the wheel for me, so many things were wrong. Not only just like the whole trans thing being a problem, so many other things were wrong. The inability to be financially apt, I don't know, to not burn bridges. I just fucked up all the time. Every single thing I tried to do, I fucked up and couldn't complete things, couldn't pay rent, couldn't pay bills on time, couldn't manage. There was just so much that was so wrong. But as soon as I let my dark passenger, which isn't so bad, my dark passenger didn't hurt anybody, remember? Didn't kill people. As soon as I let it out, I'd tell you what, everything changed. The ability to actually manage money, to think straight, because there's nothing worse than having this dark passenger controlling everything, that it's constantly in the back of your mind. So you make poor decisions outside of the shell, the thing that's being presented to the world. Because this thing inside is consuming and eating away and eating all the time. So the clarity to have the clarity to make good decisions isn't there. And now this isn't going to happen for everybody because there are especially just focusing still on this example, my example, and we're going to get to you soon, because I know trans people who came out and their lives are still a fucking nightmare, right? Because not all the time it's just that one thing. Sometimes there's a whole lot of other things going on. But it's a good start to address, and I guess with anything, it's better out than in. It's better out than in. Now, people apply that to farts, don't they? And as a doctor will tell you, yes, it's actually better to fart than hold it in. What? Where are we going with this? Trust me, I think I know where I'm going with it. Hello, Philip. Really good to see you. I am going somewhere with this. It's better out than in, yes? And this is the same thing. So a problem shared, a bird in the hand's worth two in the bush. Because there are all these sayings out there that have lasted, right? Hundreds of years. Why do they last? Things like that. It's better out than in. A bird in the hand's worth two in the bush. Why do these things stay around? Because they actually have truth to them, right? It is better to fart than to hold it in. It is better to share a problem. A problem shared is, all these things that like old wives' tales. I forget the term for them. I was going to do a show on this. A bird in the hand's worth two in the bush. There's all these sayings that you hear people say all the time, and you go, that's right. I wonder how old that saying's been around for. A lot of these sayings have been around because they're fucking true. And we throw them out all the time and don't actually listen to them and hear what they're worth. So it's better out than in. Getting this stuff out, talking about it, exposing it, and probably Dexter Morgan. Sorry, Mateus, block your ears. Are your ears blocked, Mateus? I know it takes a fair while for the internet to get to you over there in Poland, so I'll give you a minute. Maybe Dexter Morgan wouldn't have got killed at the end of of the show if he maybe shared the problem and got it sorted out and got this dark passenger sorted out and stopped, I don't know, murdering people. You know what I'm saying? It's better to share these problems and get them out and confront them and sort them out before they become crushing and before they destroy your life. All right? Absolutely. I know far too many trans people who I knew they were trans and they never actually came out. And they're not here anymore. Because the wall became so crushing that they didn't get a chance to actually let it out and get it sorted, and they did the thing that we can't talk about on YouTube, which sucks, that you can't talk about it in context, right? So there's that. Now, dark passengers can come in many forms. They can come in anxiety. They can come in fears. They can come in recording music. They can come in so many things, applying for a job. They can come in asking somebody out for a date. There's so many ways a dark passenger can be something that can hinder you from moving forward with your life or from achieving things. Friends are overrated, says Mixed Club. It's hard to get a grasp on what people. If someone sticks around, they are Porb, my friend. So I have a short list and I'm okay with that. You know what? I've decoded let me take off my Rhett decoder ring. There we go. I've decoded what you said there. But you are right, Rhett. You know what? Quality over quantity is always the way with friends. And you know what? Sometimes you've got no choice with that. That's the thing. The quality is always way better than quantity. Think about it. There's a lot of people on this planet who unfortunately end their lives too soon, and a lot of the time they have lots of friends around them, but nobody close enough for them to actually talk to. So having a small network of good people that's always far more important with friends, and that's going to be your saving grace when you are able to talk about your so-called dark passenger. Now, I hear you ask, but if I release my dark passenger, does it become a light passenger? What if I have a light passenger? Well, if you have a light passenger, guess what? You probably wouldn't even notice it because they're so light that it means nothing in your life. There's nothing to carry around because they're light. It's easy. It's free. It's happy. There's nothing for you to carry around. You're doing okay if you can say you've got a light passenger, but when you get rid of a dark passenger, it just doesn't become a light passenger. It becomes you. It integrates into you. And you become one with your dark passenger. Unless you're a serial killer and all that stuff, we keep going back over that. But if you are able to confront your dark passenger, does this fix all of your problems? Well, I'm glad you asked, because we're going to have go have an ad break and then we'll talk about that afterwards. So every day here on the channel at the halfway point of the show, we run an ad. Because YouTube, they're on my back all the way telling me that you've got to run ads. If they had their way, folks, they'd run 25 ads per episode. Trust me, when these shows end and they add the ads in afterwards, there's always like 30 ads and I have to remove all of them and just put one in because YouTube wants me to give you lots of ads. They are the dark passenger of advertising. All right? So let's run the solitary ad. The ad has been run. You can avoid the ad by becoming a YouTube premium subscriber or by skipping the ad and coming back. Meanwhile, I can let you know that I think tomorrow, I don't know, we're going to maybe get back to doing another episode of working on my first demo. But also, yes, I don't have the thumbnails ready yet, but Walk With Me is back this week. I already had it filmed from last week. Just some of you will know shit's going on at the moment here in my house and it's a bit heavy. So last week it was a bit hard to create content as much as I wanted to. But this week we'll try and get back to it because there's a lot of stuff going on here at my house that may not be my house soon. And my dark passenger is my current housing situation. But that will be sorted. Don't worry about that. So let's get back to the dark passenger, shall we? Dark passenger. If you get rid of your dark passenger, how do you get rid of it? Does it become your light passenger? Are all your problems solved? No. No, they're not all solved because problems, they crop up all the time. But like one of my partners used to say to me all the time, life is like, no, not a box of chocolates. That's really oversimplifying things. Life is like a big wave and it goes like this all the time. And you can't really control it. It's just up and down, up and down. It's like a wave. The idea is to try and get it to do this, right? To try and manage it so when those big ones come up, sometimes out of the blue, you're a little bit more prepared for it. You're like, oh, well, this is just a little spike in the road that we can get back to this. Yeah, you know what I mean? Not perfect, not ideal, because guess what? Life isn't perfect. Just isn't. And if it was, how boring would it be? So, did me confronting my dark passenger and coming out alleviate a lot of problems? Absolutely it did, but it opened new ones. But I'll tell you what, the new ones were a lot easier to deal with because they were more generated by others, not by me. That's the thing, right? When a dark passenger, being, for my example again, is like, it's this inner turmoil thing that's going on and it's not controlled from outside people, and then you release that and go, all right, well, that's not such a burden anymore. Other people then have a problem with it. So you know what? Then it's your ability to go, well, that's their problem. I've done this. I've played my cards, man. If that's your problem, then you got to go home and look in the mirror. And that's what I said at the start. The people who sit there and, you're this and you're that. It's like, most likely they are exactly what they are yelling and protesteth the most about. They go home and can't look in the mirror because, you know, people, as I said, lots of people are very hard to hide who their dark passengers really are. You see it a lot these days with a lot of course, I'm going to be very careful with my words here. We live in a day and age at the moment where people who use religion, right? There are a lot of people out there who use religion to be very hateful. And trust me when I say this, the majority of people do not do this. The majority of people who are religious and have faith are very kind and nice people. Why? Because they don't use it to project onto others to what their hatred and nastiness and vileness. And it's quite telling when you see people who use stuff like that against people. It's like, wow, you're playing your hand very easily. I find it very hard to get upset with those people these days because, I mean, they are just showing their dark passenger very clearly. It's the absolute opposite of what they're preaching with their, but I'm all about love and I'm just asking questions. And no, you're just being an absolute we can see it and you just can't, like, because you've buried it so deep. So that's just an example of people who are enabled to like hide that stuff. It's like homophobia or people who go out of their way to like say you're this or racist people. They're incredibly hateful and vile, but at the same time they're like, no, I'm just saying, you know. It's like, no, dude, your dark passenger's out there for everyone to see, right? And the thing is, you're so dumb. And you know what? A lot of the time, some of these people who are completely racist, when they go home, guess what they watch for their prawn? Racial porn. Does anyone else's minds think like that? When I see somebody being hateful, the first thing I think about is, I'll bet when you go home and watch, you watch whatever the thing you're yelling about in. Yeah, it's the truth. I don't care what anybody says. It is a mirroring. It is. Thank you, Semtex Cow. That's very kind of you for the super thingy. It is. They mirror exactly what they say. They're out there. That's what they're watching. That's what's in their search history. I'm telling you. It's exactly the thing. Yeah, it's like Dexter Morgan works here as a blood spatter analysis. What does he do? Goes out and he's so obsessed with blood. Absolutely obsessed with blood. So how does this work in a musical setting? How am I going to get to this? Well, let's get there now. Let's bring it to that. Because, man, there's a lot of people who are, you look at things like red light fever, people who don't think they're good enough as musicians, who continually critique their own stuff or compare themselves to other people. This is a form of dark passenger, imposter syndrome. These are all dark passengers. These are things that we carry around and we fall back on and go, oh, I'm not good enough. And I don't know, for me, I have been using, like I said, since Dexter Morgan's show came out, I've been using this dark passenger thing just for myself in personal life, as whenever these things arise in my head, when I start to go, man, you can't do this shit, you're a loser. And trust me, I still do this shit all the time. My friends, close friends, have heard me dog myself out all the time, go, fuck, you're an idiot, you suck, you can't do this shit, you're crap. It's one of my dark passengers that I've been unable to fully contain and stop. The piling shit on myself and going, you're not good enough, you can't do this thing. Yeah. But really, it's unnecessary. I don't really need to do it because I already do enough. But it's the I don't know. I feel like I don't want to disappoint people or anything like that. So we all still carry around these things, but again, it's better out than in. It's better than to talk about this stuff and just throw this shit out there and just let it permeate in the air than letting it just build up inside and bubble and boil and get worse and worse to the point that you've just talked yourself into an absolute shit pit of I'm worthless and nothing, and what have I got to offer anybody? Where really, we all do. We all have things to offer, but we got to offer it to ourselves first. And we've got to allow our dark passengers to breathe, to exist. And look, it even comes down to small things. Oh, God, I can't believe I'm going to say this. Should I say this? So, it even may come down to like, maybe I'll use another example. It may even come down to a kink you may have, or a particular smell you like, or we're such unique characters, people. We're made up of this bizarre combination of bone and water, mostly water, and blood and these pumping things that we're just like bags of fluid, pumping fluid. We're just like pool cleaner, aren't we? We're just like a pool pump, aren't we? Just moving, just pumping fluid around and generating these bizarre thoughts. Do these thoughts actually matter? Any of this? Does this stuff even matter? Am I just dirt under a fingernail? Who knows? But we are just these complex things walking around and breathing and pumping fluid around and carrying around all this unnecessary baggage. It's so bizarre how much we pile on our own brains and in our own thoughts and how much we let it cripple ourselves, and even like recording and making music and finishing things. It's so amazing how we let just these bullshit thoughts come in and stop us from doing it all the time. Like, I remember I used to always compare myself to people I knew who played music. Like, I'd hang around with people who I really liked the music they made, and I'd sit there in my head going, I'll never be as good as this person. Why would you even think that? Like, looking back, like, hindsight's an amazing thing, yeah? When you look back and go, Jesus, what? But we do it. Right? Again, these thoughts that we pile into our heads, these are our dark passengers. Why do we think? Why would you hang around with people that you are enamored by or inspired by, and then sit there in your own mind and go, fuck, I'll never be as good as... The reason you're hanging out with them is because they inspire you. But again, our brains do this. Our dark passenger lets us do this thing. And hello, Jenny. Nice to see you, Jenny. Real friends are the rescue. Real friends, man, they're very far and few between. And when you've got them, Cherish the absolute fuck out of them. Self-inflicted guilt is a heavy weight. It sure is. Again, a problem shared. Yeah, it's better out than in. Say it. Get it out there. Put it out there. You know what? This is one of the biggest problems. This is one of the biggest, most evil, dark passengers is our own thoughts. Yeah. That's the thing. That's the thoughts that go around in your head, and because you don't release them, they just permeate around and around and around, and they build up into a weight that feels so irrepressible that it feels like there's no hope. It feels like there's nothing you can do. But it's not true. There's something you can do. There's somebody who's experienced the same thing. There's somebody who maybe can help. There's somebody who maybe not even help, but be able to push you in the right direction to help yourself, right? Brain tornadoes are bad. They sure are. You know why? Because they spin around and around and they tear everything up. Everything up around you. You may look around your physical realm and go, yeah, I don't see anything moving. Everything's all in place, but inside, everything's getting torn around. And this is what it comes back to what I said earlier. And then you make bad decisions because all your decisions are based around your dark passenger. All these decisions that you make, missing payments on things, not being responsible with friends, not turning up to your job, not completing the things that you say you're going to do. All these things just start to happen, and then the problems get really out of control because the real world, that's the real world problems are the stuff that fucking you take a lot longer to heal, where this stuff, the tornado, the brain tornadoes, can be solved just by, not solved, but at least started by releasing the dark passenger, unless you're a murderer. Remember this. If you're a murderer, turn yourself in. Stop killing people. Right? So I need to remind you all that. Just think about it, says Rhett. Why am I going to Rhett so much today for insight? You know what? Because I'm hoping it's going to be funny. I never chatted till I came into this community. So all of you have helped me overcome this small quirk. You know what, Rhett? We all joke about you, right? But I'm glad that's a thing because you should do. You should do. And because we love you, and, you know, I only ever take the piss because you take the piss all the time as well. And that's a coping mechanism for dark passengers as well. You know, we'll joking for me was one of the biggest dark passenger cope mechanisms. Mechanisms? English is my second language. No, but joking has always been one of those things to try and make other people laugh, fob everything off as a joke to cover up the fact that there's shit that's going on. And you know, that can only work so much. Sure, I can do a good job of getting around it, but and it's hard to find the right people to trust, yeah? Isn't it? To trust people with these things, but ultimately, you are important. Yeah, you are important, and to be able to get this stuff sorted out, especially when it comes to people who sit there and question their abilities. I put It's question your abilities over this stuff. Will people like this? Will I be accepted? Is my music good enough? All this shit, that's not important. The most important thing is your music, is your creativity, are the things that you do, are they good enough for you? And if they're not, then get better. Get better at them. Work harder at them. That's it. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks about your creativity. Honestly, that's one of the hardest things for people to be able to switch off. Are people going to like this thing that I've made? Trust me, the majority of musicians, bands who made it overnight or got success after years of playing, it came from mostly fluke. Trust me, I know some people in the music industry, right? Some pretty big people. And I'm sure if you know somebody who knows some people in the industry, they're going to tell you the same thing. A lot of it's luck. Right place, right time, the way the world is going, the way trends are happening, a lot of the time it just things fall into place. There's many bands out there who've been making music for 15 years and got absolutely nobody to take any interest in it, and overnight somebody heard their song and then their first album comes out and it's a banger and just it becomes a smash hit. They have 3-4 singles off it. It's a really common story, right? It's super common. I don't know so much about in the last 10 years because the music industry is really strange these days, and it seems like there's only one artist that is really big anymore, and she's a juggernaut, and all the rest of us are just losers who just walk under her shadow. You know who I'm talking about. I'm not going to say her name because if you say her name 3 times, she appears with another 10 singles and another 35 Grammys. Right? There's always hope. This is the thing, Paul O'Farrell. This is why I do these shows, these rants every week. I'm not here to try and depress anybody. What I want to talk about, what the most important thing is that we should have hope. The one thing I will never give up on is hope. Right? Even when you look around at the bullshit news that's going on and some of the just crazy stuff people say each day and are allowed to say publicly, and then some of the things we try and stop people from saying and censoring people, all this crazy stuff, guess what? There's still hope. Because if you give up on hope, what's left? Because, I don't know about you, but I can't be absolutely 100% certain about a magical man in the sky. I can't be 100% certain that any government's going to fucking be there for me 100%. You can't always trust your friends, right? But hope is a really important thing to have faith in hope, because you don't know. Maybe things have worked out in the past, you know. Hope, it costs nothing. It costs nothing. It doesn't hurt. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't hurt anybody. It doesn't hurt anything. It doesn't make you weak. It doesn't cuck you. It doesn't make you a social outcast. It doesn't make you a pariah. It doesn't make you a scumbag. It doesn't make you anything that can be judged. When you die and maybe there is some pearly gates or hell, it doesn't change anything. Hope is just good to hold on to. Be glad for who you are instead of trying to be someone that you aren't. Yes, just be who you are. You know what? Your authentic self isn't going to please anybody. And again, this comes back to our dark passenger. It's a lot of the time it is just our authentic self that we're afraid that we express it, that people are going to go, oh, I don't like you, right? But why do you want to live a world with an inauthentic self, having people around you who like you for who you aren't? Think about that. Think about it, please. And now I know most of us here within this community, we're all pretty good with who we are. We have a very wonderful, warm community that try and build us up all the time. So we're in a good space. But think about this around other people that you may know. Chris says, surprised I have so little thought on this topic, other than I agree on the topic of hope. Yes. But again, I'm going to reiterate this, right? Think about if you are living in a world, in your own world. Hello, Deep Gravity. What's going on? Good to see you, my friend. Really good to see you. If you're living in a world where you've got this dark passenger, whatever it is, your authentic self that's buried beneath layers of blankets, and you're afraid that people are going to find out this is who you are, and then the people around you are people that don't know you. So what's the point? What's the point of being surrounded by people that you're afraid will find out who you really are and then fuck off? That seems so stupid. And that was the thing that got me to come out when I did and move on, because I looked around and went, man, all these people I know in a click, if I turned around tomorrow and went, hey, everybody, I'm this, they'd all be out of here. What a shit situation to be surrounding yourself with. That just doesn't make any fucking sense, right? We've We've got 9 minutes. To give you a reminder, Pete Johns is up today playing your music live. A much lighter show after this. That's what we do here on Sunday for you, Monday morning for me. We kind of get a little bit heavy, try and be a little bit silly, and then we bounce you over to Pete, and he's going to play a whole bunch of your music so you can all chill and relax. Like a song my buddy wrote, we ain't leaving till we're heaving in the parking lot. Party, have fun with friends. The music scene was a blast, I must say, balls. Like Aristotle, right there, right? Aristotle of the modern era, the Mix Club. Aristotle of the music community right there. Jenny says, nothing feels more empty than living a fake identity, never revealing the real you anywhere. Error. Falco, hello Falco says, I argues with that Jack wagon every damn day. He's always nagging about something. Yes, you know what, Falco, he's an absolute Tell him to go sit in the other room for a while. Unless he's a serial killer, and turn yourself into the police. Now! Do it! I'm not here to lecture. I don't have any answers, folks. I'm just here to discuss. Put it out into the ether. That's what we do here on the rant. Just spread it out there because, again, it's better out than in. Because when it's in, it's like Pac-Man. It's searching for power pellets. That's not the sound Pac-Man makes. It's more waka, 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 waka. But it's inside chewing you up. Going around and around in the maze of your guts. And guess where it ends up? It ends up in your stomach, ends up in your bowels, ends up fucking causing a lot of pain. And guess what? A lot of people get sick from this shit. Let's talk physical stuff. And I know, Jenny, you will know this 100%. There's a lot of people who end up getting physically ill because of this stuff. Because worry and concern and all this stuff fucking has an effect. Our body, all these things have an effect, and it chews at your insides, and your insides start reacting bad, and your stomach starts producing the wrong kind of acid, and you end up fucking getting really sick, right? So not only up here, but your body, this stuff will eat you from the inside out. Don't believe me? Think about it. Think about this stuff. Think about when the garbage in, garbage out. It absolutely is. It's the same stuff. You eat shit food, your body becomes shit. All this stuff is, OJCs, hello to you, builds up the bile, let it out. I'm telling you, right? Be kind to yourself. Let the stuff out. Guess what? You know what? The people around you, if they're not going to deal, there's always, we live on a planet with billions of people, billions. And there's so many people that are willing to be your friend. Sometimes it's hard to navigate which ones are the right ones. But I'll tell you what, when you are living your most authentic self and you're able to integrate that dark passenger, unless it's a serial killer, remember, into your life, that dark passenger disappears and you become authentic, and hopefully you will get better at attracting the right kind of people, get better at making the right kind of decisions. You're still going to fuck up. We all make mistakes and all that stuff. You're still going to get sick and all this stuff. But less of this, more of this. You know what I'm saying? I think I've made my point. I hope so. I hope I'm not trying to be preachy or anything like that. I'm not trying to tell you all how to live your life. Looks like Darth Vader's dark passage. Yeah, well, that's Art the Clown ate Darth Vader. See, there's his helmet. There, his helmet's over there, Hugh. So we're going to change out Art. Is everybody enjoying Art? Is anybody since Laurie's show worried that Art's going to come back to life and start moving? Because yesterday I went on somebody else's panel and I brought Art to life again yesterday and scared the fuck out of them. It was good fun. Jerry Gomes says, I often end up hating my music, especially when I listen to music from the community that I feel is way better. That's one of my dark passages. Dude, you know that's the thing. I think there's a lot of us who all do it. We all do it, You're not alone, man. This is the thing. So many of us are in the same situation, right? We're not alone. Be it music, be it art, be it whatever. We all feel this way. The way society wants us to be is they want us to compare and do this whole thing. They want us to compete. This is the capitalism. This is the way the system that we currently have is. They want us to compete. They want us to try and be better ourselves and do all this. And sure, if that's the way they want to do it for financial system and to keep the society running. But no, we don't have to do that for just fucking being. You can't do that to us as creatives because it destroys the whole creative process. Creative process is about release. It's about create and release, create, record, release, like Pete says. It's virtually getting off. That's what it is. You have to get off. You have to. You have to lube it up. Let me explain in other terms. You have to first get some and then it's all done and you feel so much better. I should have just done that and then finished the show. Music is not a competition. This is another reason why we don't, on these channels, I know I don't, we don't at the end of the year say, these are the best songs from top 20 to 1. We do a show where we play a whole bunch of songs that I liked for the year, but I don't put them in any fucking order because it's not a competition. And Pete has had people say over the years too, oh, you should have like a prize or something or some kind of like battle, best songs of the month on YML. No, 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 no. It's not a competition. We shouldn't feel that way about our music. We should feel like it's helping us, yeah? I look at music as like a release. It's like what I just showed you there, which you took notes. Now everything makes sense. 42, folks. 42, I should have just said that. All right. Yes, no competition, cooperation. That is it. And look, again, I've said this many times. I wish a lot of the world could see some of the stuff we do here, yeah? Exactly, Pookie. Not everybody likes the same things, and that's okay. I wish a lot of people from the outside of this community could look in, because this community is far from perfect, right? Far from perfect. There's lots of problems. All got them. We're nowhere near perfect. But I'll tell you the one thing we are able to do for the most part, 99% of the time, is rise above and tell people and encourage people. And that's the most important thing. You may not necessarily like everything that everybody does. That's okay, you know. But sitting there and going, I don't fucking like what you're... That's really not productive. Instead, being encouraging is much better, right? It's just a much better thing. Now, you can sit there in your own mind and say, well, I don't really like that. That's okay too. Just don't be a prick, right? It's like those people who, wait on Facebook, and whenever you write something like, I really like this thing, and they're straight away commenting going, it sucks. Fuck off. Anyway, all right, I'm out of here. Thanks for hanging out. We've got some fun shows coming up. Pete Johns is up next. I'll dump you over there. Thank you all for humouring me to sit up here every week and chat. Love you all. Do the things that make you happy. Mistakes make you better. We'll all rise together, stay awake, and release the dark passenger. Oh, yeah. See you later.